Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and that you've endured through the many challenges of these last few months. I've been very fortunate since the pandemic started, not just to stay healthy, but to be able to work from home. Like many people, many aspects of my life have blended more than they ever did before. Sometimes it feels invigorating, like when I relish getting an extra hour of sleep or the ability to take a relaxing walk after work without losing any time to the commute. Other times it feels exhausting. I worry that I'm losing important boundaries that I need to maintain my inner balance and outer persona for each context. Like when I notice my work extending beyond regular work hours or feel the pressure of attending back to back video conferences that bring my personal life and my work life too close for comfort. A big recurring question for me is how can I show up fully in all aspects of my life without sacrificing too much of my time, my energy, my privacy, or even my identity? Recently, I've had the realization that perhaps the way I think about boundaries is too rigid, especially as it applies to where I expect God to show up in my life. This realization came first as I reread a book of poetry called The Prophet, which was written by Khalil Gibran, a Lebanese American poet, about 100 years ago. It's hard to choose just one poem from Khalil Gibran. They are all beautiful and wise. However, I'll share one excerpt from his poem on religion, and I quote: "Who can separate his faith from his actions, or his belief from his occupations? Who can spread his hours before him, saying, 'This for God, and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body?' All your hours are wings that beat through space from self to self." Gibran reminds us that every moment of our lives is a time to exercise our faith. That to truly exercise our faith, we must remember that there are no boundaries separating us from God. Somehow, I keep forgetting that God operates in every moment of my existence. Not just in the neat moments when He's clearly at the center, like when we all worshiped together at church, but also in the murky moments when it's harder to see God's love and grace, like when I feel guilt and shame about not doing enough to address all the issues before me. Whether it's obligations at work, being present for family and friends, or pushing to right the injustices and suffering faced by people around the world who identify as Black, people of color, women, LGBTQ, poor, or at risk in a myriad of ways. The list is endless. A major assumption is that I should have some control over all these issues. But if these last few months have taught us anything, it is that there's a lot we cannot control. Accepting that God operates in every moment involves ceding control to Him, or rather, the illusion of always being in control. This is a lot harder than it sounds. Letting God into the most personal and most precious aspects of our lives involves great sacrifice. Giving up this control, this boundary, means surrendering things that are precious to us so that we can connect to something much more precious, much more powerful. I'm reminded of Abraham preparing to sacrifice his only son simply because God told him to. It goes against everything we identify with. But as we know, Abraham didn't lose his son at all, or his identity as a father. Instead, his bond with God became stronger, and through this bond, we inherited the wisdom of the Abrahamic faiths. And don't we also believe that through Jesus' sacrifice as God's only son, we were brought closer to God? So, if like me, you often wonder how you'll get through this season, remember that simple and powerful truth that God is with you, within you, at every moment. Practice looking for God in the places and conversations where you wouldn't usually think of Him, like that Facebook debate on wearing masks. Try to see that because God extends your potential in all areas of your life, your options go well beyond the things that you control and understand, like in uncomfortable conversations about racism and different forms of privilege we all carry. I hope that when you do this, you will discover a strength and grace and clarity to carry you through all the highs and lows of your life. Thank you for listening.